In the summer that Connor McDavid would be drafted, the lottery event saw the Oilers be the big winner, ahead of the Sabres, who'd been the default team and the worst team, the one that pretty much everyone was hoping would get McDavid. In particular because he played his junior hockey right down I-90 in Erie, right here in Pennsylvania. Would have been really cool. Didn't happen. And if you looked at McDavid's face, even though he's denied this since then, at the moment it was announced, he knew, we all knew, how this was all going to go. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. No, I'm not about to turn this into a talk show about the Oilers or Edmonton or even McDavid's status. He's been in the NHL now for 10 years. He's made it to the final now twice in a row. He's lost to the Panthers, of course, twice in a row. And this has all happened despite, in his tenure, other high picks, really high picks, other number one overall picks being selected by Edmonton, despite the Oilers finally getting on good financial terms by moving into this bombastic, huge new arena in the downtown area, and despite, by every accounting, McDavid having given his very best to that team, and to that city, and everything else. Heck, McDavid even got himself his own Yevgeny Malkin type in Leon Draisaitl. Hasn't mattered. Partly because the Oilers haven't been run very, very badly for a long time, and partly because even now that they're run a little bit better by Stan Bowman, they, as a collective, still can't recognize a playoff-level goaltender if they were to watch a 22-year-old Martin Brodeur walking down the street. Also, in relative, from last season to the current roster that the Oilers have, they have undeniably taken steps backward. And this, with McDavid entering his final year of his contract. For anybody who hasn't been following that news up there, McDavid is kind of hedging on whether or not he wants to sign again with Edmonton. He's not making demands or conditions, but by not signing and by telling everybody repeatedly, as he did just a couple of weeks ago in Calgary when he was seated at the Team Canada Olympic event next to Sidney Crosby, it's an important time in his career. He wants to make sure he's doing the right thing. And through the whole thing, if you haven't seen the video of this, Sid is just sitting there stoically staring straight ahead as if to say, not my business, definitely not my problem. Now, I don't do a whole lot of retroactive anything on this show. I'm about the now and I'm about preparing for what's to come. In general, that's just how I go at the profession. But I am here today to remind that there are a lot of people to credit along the way for the fact that Sid is still here, that Sid was here through not one, but two additional Stanley Cups, and that Sid has never had to face a setting like the one McDavid did in that room in Calgary facing those types of questions, but also just in the broader sense, that big fork in the road that, hey, should I be here? Is this a place where I can win? That's not to suggest that everybody who's been around Sid has been some perfect fit for a given role. There have been some duds. There have been some flat-out stinkers along his 20 years. But ultimately, the flag that's been flown over this franchise, over the Pittsburgh franchise, this goes back to the day Mario showed up as a player, is that the priority would be winning. Lots of different people passed through. Lots of different people made their own imprint, even if those were really brief in time, such as the amazing and yet simultaneously tragic story of Badger Bob Johnson. The objective, even in the darker times, for you cynics who are thinking of, oh yeah, well, what about that team or this team or the Rico Fata era? The objective didn't change. So when the good people came along, they were kept. When there were lousy choices made, they were fixed. So basically, this is my way of saying that for however grateful everyone in Pittsburgh should be for everything that Sid has done for the franchise, don't forget that the franchise and the city and all related effects did right by Sid as well and continue, ideally, to do so. And I'd be remiss if I didn't add the same thing I suggested to McDavid the day that lottery happened. Run, kid, run. Get out of there. When we come back, J1Q. Hey guys, if you're planning to see a concert or a Penguins game, once the NHL season starts, use the Game Time app to get your tickets. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone if you set it into app alerts. The app is easy to use. No surprise fees at checkout. You can see your seat view before buying, and you're getting legit tickets delivered on time. If you're not much of a planner, you can get last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of an event. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app and enter the code DKPenguins in your app profile for $20 off your first purchase. Today's J1Q comes from Ben Kufert in Charlotte, who asks, DK, with Matt Grzelcyk ending up being the Penguins' best defenseman by the end of this past season, why haven't they signed him yet since they're in such dire need of left-handed help? I know he's looking for a longer contract and they don't want to give that to him, but surely with the season coming closer to starting and he's still out there, he might accept a deal that the Penguins would be happy with. You know what's funny, Ben? When I looked at the free agent lists in general of defensemen, he kind of stands out. When you narrow that down to the left-handed defenseman, he's screaming from the figurative rooftop. But you're right, Grzelcyk did view the season that he had for the Penguins as one that should have earned him a multi-year deal. It didn't. It hasn't. And there's no way it's going to once you're just a dozen days or so out from training camp. Doubly so if you're going to turn 32 years old at mid-season. But, as I think you're suggesting here, there might be a middle ground. There might be something that could be achieved. There might be Grzelcyk seeing that, hey, there's exactly 32 teams out there who have not offered me what I'm looking for. There's one where I just came from, where I'd be very familiar with everyone. And I've got to think, this isn't Grzelcyk, this is me. There can't be many NHL defense corps out of the 32 total where the left side is as unsettled and unsettling as this one is. So with all this cap space that Kyle Dubas has, maybe he says, listen, I can give you maybe more than you would have expected on a one-year deal. I'm still not going to give you two. So how does that sound? Now, I'm not necessarily saying I'm in favor of it. My perfect world obviously would have a much stronger left side of the defense in general, and I wouldn't think of it being bolstered by someone like Grzelcyk. But then Grzelcyk was really, really good for this team for about the final, do you want to say final 2/3 of the season or for the final half? Either way, he was good in that time. And he offers you traits, for what it's worth, that none of the current left-handed defense guys on this roster do, in particular, the mobility in the offense. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.